right. So, welcome. It's the last day of class. We made it. So, today's plan, I want to reflect on essay 4, so we're going to start with that. Then there is a survey that some of you might have completed already. If you have, great. You'll get a few minutes to kind of get your mind right for class. If you haven't, this is a survey that the college has asked me to ask you guys to try to complete. So we're going to participate in the academic community there. Then I want to give you an opportunity to just see what the process of the final exam might look like. So we have a little practice thing that will allow you to kind of practice the motions of that, of what it'll be like on the 8th. And then we'll talk about the final exam, and that'll be it. Okay. So let's start with the essay 4 reflection. I am going to put it in the link to that in the chat. But it is also on under course modules in Unit 4. So it's at the bottom of Unit 4, the Essay 4 reflection, or you can just click on that link and go directly there. Okay, and I'm going to give you, it's a little shorter. I think I'll check back in with you in 10 minutes. Okay, so so I'll check back in with you in 10 minutes and see where we are. If you do finish that, then you can go ahead and just go up to that CRPP survey, which is actually in Unit 5. Okay, but for right now, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to work on the essay form. Okay, hopefully you had a chance to finish that, the reflection. If you didn't, definitely make sure that you get that done by the end of class. Now, I'm not sure how many of you have completed the culturally responsive pedagogy, I'm not even sure what all the letters stand for, survey. But I really do want to help out our community, our college community, by getting this done. So I put it in on Canvas, and I'm going to ask you to complete it now. So if you are looking for the survey, it's under Canvas, under modules. It's in Unit 5, and it's called the CRPP survey. It's just a page. And when you go to that page, there's an explanation of what the survey is trying to do, and also what it's called. And then there's a link at the bottom of that page to complete the survey. And I'm going to ask, because I don't know what the survey looks like, and I couldn't look at the survey, I'm going to ask you to just put done in the chat once you've completed it. Now, if you've already done it, then I guess you could put done now because you've done it. Okay, so again, you're going to Canvas. It's at the bottom of Unit 5. Okay, it says CRPP survey. If you click on that, on the link in Canvas, it takes you to a page, and there is a page. There's a link at the bottom of that page to complete the survey. Okay, and I'm gonna allocate 10 minutes for this. But if if everybody finishes sooner, then we'll move on. But just do me a favor, put done in the chat once you've completed the survey. Okay. Questions? We're good? Fabulous. Okay, see you in 10. Okay, so it looks like we had 7-ish people finish the survey, so I would encourage you to complete it on your own if you haven't already. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is practice for the final exam. And the reason why I do this is because for many of you, you haven't had the opportunity to kind of do this under, or write an essay under timed conditions, right? And so what we'll do is I'm just going to have you write a paragraph. Okay, it's just a paragraph long. But once you open the exam, that's when your time starts. Okay, so you will have the entire time, whether it's for the practice exam, it'll be 15 minutes. For the final exam, it'll be 2 hours. But once you open it, that's when your timer starts, and you have the whole time until the timer finishes to complete your response. Okay. You should also know that when you, if you move away from the exam, say for instance, you want to look up a word, and you come back, that information should still be there. Okay, so you don't have to panic about losing all of your work. All right, I'm going to share my screen. All right, and if you are, I guess I should start from where it is. Okay, so under Unit 5, the final exam, okay, you find the link for the practice for the final exam. Okay, if you were to click on that link, okay, you'll see this. Okay, there's one question. I'm giving you an hour. Oh, that's my screen. You have an hour that it's available, but you only have 15 minutes to actually complete the activity. Okay, when you started within that hour. I mean, obviously we're not going to take an hour to do this where you guys just choose. Today we're just going to take the 15 minutes, but I kind of set it up as I would set up the final exam. Okay, so you're responsible for being prepared for the final exam, making sure you have worked out all your tech issues, and finding a quiet place to complete the exam. For this practice exam, you'll need to read the question and submit your response, right? Material that responds to the question. The practice quiz will only require you to write 1 paragraph at minimum, 1 paragraph. You don't need to write an essay. Okay, so don't freak out. You're like, I only have 10 minutes to write an essay. No, you will need to write a paragraph. Okay, I say 10 minutes, but it's set for 15, so my directions are wrong. Its primary function is to help you understand the process for next Monday. Okay, so you're going to take the practice exam. You're going to start Canvas, go to the final exam module, and then pick the correct response, or pick the correct activity. Okay. If you miss class today, I'm not sure why I'm telling you this because you're all here. You just need to take the practice quiz before the 8th. Well, it'll close on the 7th because we have the final exam on the 8th. Okay, so once you're ready, you can go ahead and just click take the quiz. And this is what you'll see. For this last in-class activity, you'll be writing a reflection paragraph. And I'm just asking you to write a 4 to 6 sentence paragraph, or you can write more, but at least 4 to 6 sentences, reflecting on the past semester and what you've learned. Consider not only the content and knowledge that you've learned about academic writing, but also the skills you've gained over the past few months. To help you get started, here are some possible questions that you might answer to guide your response. What are some of the skills you've learned in this class this semester? How will those skills help you in your next English class, in your major, in your intended career? What was your favorite part? What we did, assignment, class, routine of the semester? What was your least favorite part of the semester? My class, any other class, remote learning in general? Do you believe that you tried your best this semester? If not, what struggles did you face this semester that made college challenging? What was the most valuable lesson you learned? How many times can I say this semester? What was the most challenging aspect of this semester? And what do you know now that you wish you would have known at the beginning of the semester? Okay, so again, you're going to put your response into this box. Okay, and then once you're done, you hit submit quiz. All right, so again, I'm going to give you 15 minutes to respond to this. If you have questions during the exam, you can just put them in the chat. Right now, the chat is still set for everyone, and that's fine. When we come in on Monday the 8th, you'll only have the option to chat with me. So your chat will not go to everyone on the actual exam day. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see if there's any questions that I can answer now before we get started. Any questions after the practice exam, you can just put them in the chat. Okay? All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you in 15 minutes. Okay, so any questions on the way the final is going to work? Yes, Sadiq?
Professor, I just noticed one thing because it gives me the time limitation and it didn't like wait for me to finish. It just took it off. So I couldn't write anything else. So the final exam is going to be the same way, right? Even if I'm not finished, it's going to take it over. Okay.
Yep, exactly like if we were in the classroom, right? If the time, once the time is up, the time is up, pencils down, you're good to go. Okay.
Professor, one more thing that I want to ask you. Do you know if I can write it on paper or do I have to write it on my computer? I'm not sure that which is going to be faster for me. But I would say, I mean, I don't know. I'll just practice on my own, like do it on the paper and the computer. But I don't know if any of those, which is going to be appropriate for the exam.
Yeah, so it's absolutely on the computer, right? You will not have time to type it out, and so you won't have time to write it and then retype it in that 2-hour block.
I was thinking about like taking a picture and sending it to you.
Oh yes, no, please, no. You have to type it. This is the one benefit of the one benefit of being online is that I don't have to try to struggle through handwriting issues. Some of you, I know, are practicing to be doctors, and your handwriting is questionable. So thank you for checking, Sadiq. But yeah, everything has to be typed. So yeah, that happens so that I think Sadiq's experience is an important reminder that when that time finishes, you are done. So that's why one of the things I had you prepare for today was that how to take an in-class essay exam. You want to structure your time in a way that makes sense so that you're not caught unawares when the time is up, right? So think about how much time am I going to spend planning this essay? And your handout will tell you that you want to spend, like, good test takers will take up to a quarter of the time. And in this case, I'm thinking, you probably want to spend the first 15 or 20 minutes planning out your essay. What are you going to talk about? Okay. How are you going to approach this? And that will be really important because what you don't want to have happen is that you spend so much time you just start writing and you're still trying to organize your ideas and you're thinking and you're writing and you run out of time. Okay, so really do structure your time in a way that gives you not only time to plan, but also to draft, and for all that's holy, that you spend time revising, right? That's going to be an important part of this as well. Keely, you have a question?
Yeah, question. Can we use our notes that we did for the readings or no?
Yes, you will be able to use the notes that you've done for the readings, but you will not, there'll be some things that you're going to have to do on the exam day that aren't reflected in the study guide.
Okay.
Right? So in other words, you're not going to be able to, you will be able to use your notes, but those notes, you may have to kind of anticipate adjusting those notes for what I'm asking you to do come the day of the exam. Okay. So yeah. Let's start with the other questions before I kind of dive into the specifics of this. Hopefully you had a chance to go through the study guide as well as the writing a timed essay handout. Questions on anything?
Sorry, one more question. Can I just use like any notes as well or no?
Can you use any notes? What do you think?
Yeah, like besides the reading, like just notes in general.
So, I mean, this is the thing. I'm not going to be, I don't use Respondus or a lockdown browser, right? And I'm not going to be with you as you're writing this. And you're going to be doing what you need to do. So there's no way that I can successfully kind of monitor what you're using as far as class notes. So yes, you will be able to use your notes, whatever those notes look like. Okay. At the same time, you cannot use any outside material except for the course readings, right? So every reference that you make has to be to course materials. It can be to handouts that we used in class, or anything on Canvas, but it can't be. For example, if you're like, oh, well, I have my own copy of Appiah's Case for Contamination. I'm going to say, no, I want you to use the one that we used in the class. Okay, so you're limited to what's on Canvas. You're limited to what's on course materials, in course materials. But yes, you can use your own notes. That does not mean that you should try to write the essay before Monday. Just type it in, which I'm sure you're not asking if you're going to do that. But yeah, this is, I'm asking you to kind of reflect on what we've done over the course of the semester, and the study guide is asking you to do a lot of this reflection in writing. I'm fine if you want to use that to then structure your essay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Other questions? So Anthony's asking if you'd be able to access readings during the essay. Yes, you will be able to access the readings during the essay. If you navigate away from the exam and you come back, you'll still be able to pick up where you left off. Okay, up until your time is done. So let's say that you've decided your cluster is going to include, which it wouldn't, but let's say your cluster is going to include the first 3 readings from the beginning of the semester. I don't expect that you've memorized those assignments. I do expect that you've taken notes on them, right? But there might be a quote that you're going to pull in. And so you will have to go and look that up if you haven't already printed it beforehand. Right? So if you're using a quote from, say, Coates, and so you'll have to navigate to the reading if you don't have a printed out copy and then come back. I'm fine with that. Anthony, does that answer your question? Yes. Okay. Other questions? All right, let's talk about some of the clusters. The study guide asks you to kind of think about your clusters, right? And maybe come up with 2 or 3 of them. So is anyone going to volunteer? What did you come up with for your for potential clusters? Okay, well, I guess I'll find out till Monday. All right. Let's see if that wasn't successful. I certainly had some conversations about potential cluster categories, but I'm certainly not going to be the only one talking here. So let's move on. The first step, just to talk about what the study guide is kind of covering, is asking you to build meaningful essay clusters from the course readings. Right? So before Monday, certainly, you'll want to think about 4 essays, right, that you can put together in a way that makes sense for you, right? 4 essays that you can link in a way that is new or insightful or original, right? So 4 of the course readings that you're thinking, oh, I understand these essays in a way that I see how these 4 essays are entering into a particular conversation. Okay, so you want to pick those 4 essays, and the study guide suggested that you want to create two or three different groups of 4, right? To help you kind of think about, well, I could put these 4 together, or I could put these 4 together, or I could also see these 4 going together, right? I see I'm holding up fingers. So some of the questions that I put on the study guide, thinking about identity and rhetorical choices, think about audience and how some of these writers are navigating the audience. Think about responsibilities of the writer, right? Think about what makes prose memorable or effective, or thinking about rhetorical value from questioning rather than asserting. So how are we going to put these 4 essays together? Okay, what links these 4 essays? So the first step, the first piece of your essay is going to be you're choosing 4 essays from the list of course readings, and you're putting them into a unit. And you're going to explain, describe your cluster, your unit. Okay. Then the second part of your only essay is going to be thinking about how those 4 essays help you understand, help you articulate, help you describe effective writing. Right? So you're putting them in, and you're putting them in a cluster to think about like how they're linked to each other. But I also want you to think about, what does effective writing require? What does effective writing look like? Right? And so you're using those 4 essays to talk about how you understand effective writing now. Okay? How you see effective writing as a result of this, of these essays. Right? And I say on the study guide, you can think about audience awareness, or organization, or voice, or synthesis, or counter-argument. All of these rhetorical strategies, all of these kind of writing elements, the things that we've covered this semester, talking about writing, talking about composition. How do we see some of these topics present in these 4 essays that you're picking up, right? So the step 2 is about thinking about, what you think effective writing requires. Right? What have I learned, and again to the study guide, what have I learned about how writing works? Okay. From these readings, right? Thinking about your own experiences. And then step 3, right, is asking you to review your specific course experiences, which a little bit of that was in the practice exam. Right? I want you to think about yourself as a writer. And I want you to think about your writing and how it's developed over the course of the semester, right? What changed? What assignments challenged you the most, right? What rhetorical choices became more intentional? If you look back to essay 1 all the way to essay 4, right? Think about what you did. What writing habits improved, or I suppose, declined. Let's hope that didn't happen. But what do you still struggle with in terms of strong and effective writing? Okay, so I want you to reflect on your writing and you as a writer, and thinking about, so the most successful essays are going to be grounded in actual experience, right? I don't want to hear, I'm a good writer, but I want to think about, in essay 2, I did X, but in essay 4, I did Y. And this, is evidence of something, right? Reflect on that. When revising this essay, I made these choices. My first draft was this, but my next draft was this. So I really want you to give me evidence of what you did, right, over the course of the semester, right? Referencing workshops or peer review or class discussions or group activities or revision or feedback. Struggles and decisions that you made as a writer. So the important part of that, as you're kind of making notes and thinking about this, because again, it's not a memory test. It is an opportunity for you to show your engagement with the course. right? You definitely want to think about how you can be specific. Okay. You don't want, like, I don't want summaries of these essays. I know what when you think about your clusters, I don't want summaries of them, right? Apaya talks about this, and then Apaya does this, and then Apaya talks about that. I know what they say. I want you to think about, why am I putting these 4 essays together? What's the conversation I want to point to? Okay. So you want to analyze the author's rhetorical choices, you want to compare their ideas, you want to explain the significance of what you're seeing. Yeah, avoid vague reflection. Like, I learned a lot about writing. Okay, but specifically, what did you learn? Right? I became more aware of how audience expectations shape my organizational decisions in essay number 2. Okay, tell me about that. And I'm also going to ask you to kind of think about future writing situations, right? So don't forget to really reflect on, okay, now that I know this, what do I do? Right? How can I take this into either a different class or a different, future academic writing or professional communication or public writing, right? If you haven't thought about doing any of that before, maybe how you're doing that now. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so I just have here as kind of final advice. Your essay will be most effective if it's grounded in concrete details, concrete evidence, both from the essays that you're putting together in your cluster and your experiences in the classroom. Okay? Vague, generic reflections will not be successful. All right? I want you to demonstrate, engagement, meaning making, rhetorical awareness, and basically genuine reflection on your development as a writer. Okay, so that's going to be the key to that. All right? Okay, questions?
Sorry, so I'm assuming we're gonna have cameras on while we're doing this, right?
Yes. Other questions? No. Okay, I was looking at the chat. I answered that one already. Is there a word count? No. There will be paragraphs, however, so many paragraphs per section, right? So you know that you're writing an essay, so of course you're going to have an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion. So at the very least, you have so many paragraphs, right? A paragraph for usually your introduction is about a paragraph long, your conclusion is about a paragraph long. So body paragraphs, I'm going to say, hey, can I have, this section should be 2 to 3 paragraphs. This section should be 1 to 2 paragraphs. So if you did all the minimum count, right, you're going to have so many paragraphs in your essay versus, kind of the maximum will have so many paragraphs. So it'll be a range of how many paragraphs you'll have to do. Okay. And of course, we know paragraph has 5 to 7 sentences in it. Say that for giggles. Okay, so again, it's not a word count, but it is a paragraph. I will be looking for a certain number of paragraphs per section. So, introduction is 1 paragraph, section 1 will be, 1 to 2 paragraphs, section 2 will be 2 to 3 paragraphs, that kind of thing. All right, does that answer your question, Anthony? Yep. Other questions? All right, so how I would prepare for this is, again, I would, look at the study guide, go through, and think about, hey, these are my potential clusters. Don't just have one because you don't know, I have a list, but you don't necessarily know what's going to appear on the final exam as far as shaping that list. So I could say, for example, I'm giving you a list of the course readings, but I'm going to take out every author whose last name begins with A. And then you'll be stuck with that. That's not what I'm going to do. That's silly. But I'm just saying that you don't know necessarily what the conditions will be on the list. So have, you know, at least 2 or 3 different clusters of 4. Okay. So I would practice, I would come up with some clusters and be able to explain why I put those together. I would make notes on, you know, go back and look at everything you've done in the class and think about how that activity shaped you as a writer or what you struggled with, right? So go back and look at everything that you've done. You know, you asked me about, Keely asked me about notes, and I'm like, this is when I would absolutely use my notes, because you're not going to have the time, you're not going to have the time in that 2 hours that you're supposed to be writing to go back and like, hey, what did we do in week 2? I think we talked about something. What was that? Let me go back and look at it. Oh, yeah, we were doing this. Right? You don't have that amount of time. So looking back at all the activities, taking notes, maybe grouping together some of those notes, thinking about how can I arrange this to show a picture of me as a writer. That's what's going to be important. Okay? So definitely do that. As the more specific you are, the better. I cannot stress that enough. Okay. All right. Any more questions? I think I've asked that. We're good. Understand what I'm asking you to do. Okay. Just so that you know, thank you for the reminder, Keely. Yeah. When we talk about cameras on, the camera will need to be on. If your camera is off, I'm assuming you have walked out of the room and that you're not taking the exam. Okay? Because I've stressed that the entire semester about cameras being on, and sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off. But for the final, they will need to be on the entire time. Okay? Homework. Oh wait, there was a. This might be obvious. No, there's no homework. I mean, obviously prepare for the exam. I don't know why I said the word homework. Don't get it. This might be obviously obvious, but is there a strict format? Anthony, I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Can you elaborate? Maybe just unmute yourself. Well, yes, you should demonstrate MLA, right? I mean, that's what we do in the English class. And so if you're asking if there's a work cited, there is not a work cited. Because again, all of your essays are coming from the list of course readings. So that should be fine. If you do cite it, you're going to use a page number from the course readings. So for instance, with Apaya, for Apaya, you know, if you cite something from page, 40 of Apaya, right? You don't need a works cited. You just need to tell me what page number you found that on. I think there's only a couple that aren't paginated, that don't have page numbers. And if it does not have a page number, then you don't have to worry about it, because I should be able to find it. Okay? But if it has a page number, you have to reference that page number. But you do not need a works cited. However, you still need a title. You still need paragraphs, an introduction, a conclusion, a thesis, all of the things that make a good essay. Okay? All right. Is there anything else? Alrighty. My grades are due on June 15th. So while I will work to get them in sooner, please do not reach out and ask me about your grades until after June 15th, because I will be trying to grade stuff. I will be teaching in the fall, so if you have questions, you can always make an appointment to talk about the material. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with the feedback, because normally my feedback is to help you improve essays, but for essay number 4 for the final exam, right, that opportunity doesn't exist. So I will be using the rubric, probably making some really brief general notes, but I won't be, you know, going into my usual paragraph on paragraph spiel. Okay. All right. And again, the final exam is Monday, June 8th at 10:15. Okay. And like with the practice final, I'll go over the directions. You'll be free to take the entire time that you have. Okay. On Wednesday, we will not be meeting as a class. So hopefully you will use that time to prepare for the final exam. Okay? We are meeting today, and then final exam period starts tomorrow, and our exam is next Monday. So I don't see you on Wednesday. I will see you again on Monday, June 8th. Yes, sir.
You mentioned the exam is at 10:15.
Yeah.
And then how long is the duration of the final exam?
So most people will have 2 hours. Anyone with accommodations their accommodations will be met. So for instance, some people have accommodations for extra time. I have already set that assignment for the extra time. So if that pertains to you, you'll see that you have extra time. If it doesn't, then you'll have a whole 120 minutes.
Okay, I have a question. So it's okay if I come late then?
Well, I will be spending the first few minutes going over the directions. So just if you come late, you'll miss that explanation of me going over the directions. But once you start the exam, you'll have whatever time is set for you to finish that exam.
Okay, yeah, because it collides with my other class.
You have an exam scheduled at the same time as our exam?
Well, my class ends at 10:30.
Yeah, but I'm surprised that there's a class during finals week because we don't generally have classes during finals week. So I would just confirm that, Manny, to make sure, because generally the college works very hard to schedule final exams so that there's no conflicts. It doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. It does occasionally, but professors don't hold regular classes during that time because of finals.
No, you're right. I gotta double check. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions before I go into my final remarks? All right. Well, as we come to the end of the semester, I'd just like to take a minute to thank you guys very much for this journey that we've traveled together. This semester has been filled with growth, challenges, accomplishments, I think, for you and for me. Right? I've grown, I've been challenged, and hopefully I've accomplished something. Each and every one of you has shown dedication to your own educational journey, and I really want to express my gratitude to you for that persistent commitment to your own education, right? It's important, and I'm glad that you're here. I wish you all the best of luck in your future endeavors, both academic and otherwise. May you continue to chase your dreams, overcome your obstacles, and make a positive impact on the world around you. Always remember that your education is a powerful tool, and with it, you have the ability to create meaningful change. Okay? Thank you for an incredible semester. I'm really honored to have been here with you, and I look forward to witnessing all the wonderful things that you guys will do in the future. Good luck, and I will see you Monday, June 8th at 10:15. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank you so much,
you.
Professor.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
See, Ursa knows. As soon as I say bye,